So first off, what is a non-Newtonian fluid? So this whole concept came up from Isaac Newton. That's right, the apple guy. He came up with the laws of viscosity, which is called the Newton's law of viscosity. But a non-Newtonian fluid doesn't act in accordance with this law. So a non-Newtonian fluid acts like a solid, and until you try to disturb it, it'll turn back into a liquid, and that's what a non-Newtonian fluid is. So let's have fun and make some paint.
So the first thing I want you guys to do if you decide to do this is put on a shirt that you're not going to care if it gets dirty. As you can see, I have paint on this shirt. So this is my getting dirty shirt. So you're going to want to get something that you don't mind getting dirty because you've got food coloring in this project and this stuff will stain your clothes, right? So first off, I'm just going to run through what you need and then I will mix it, show you how to pour it into the container, and we're going to mix the colors into it. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is something that's called a non-Newtonian fluid, and you're going to actually see that when we make this. It is a fluid that acts like a solid and a fluid at the same time. So when you are pouring your paint out of this and it gets stuck, grab a spoon and stir, and it will turn back into a liquid, and just stir as you're putting it into your ice tray. What you're going to need is 4 tablespoons of baking soda, which is right here. So you got baking soda. You're going to need 2 tablespoons of white vinegar. You're going to need a half of a teaspoon of corn syrup. Light corn syrup works best. So we got Karo's right here. You're also going to need 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. And then you're going to need some food coloring. And they have this really cool neon food coloring down at Fred Meyer's right now, and it makes some really cool colors. And then you've got original food coloring. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to mix. So I'm going to go ahead and hit pause, and I'm going to measure out all my ingredients, and then we'll mix it together and we'll come back. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is we want to take our baking soda and put it into whatever we're going to mix our paints in. So we have 4 tablespoons of baking soda already measured out in this cup. So I'm going to put that in. And now what we need to do is put vinegar in. Now vinegar and baking soda, they tend to fizz up a little bit. So you want to do the baking soda really slow, okay? So I'm going to bring this over here so you can see what I'm doing. So we are going to do this slowly. So we're going to do 1 tablespoon, real slow, and we're going to give it a mix. And then when the fizzing stops, we're going to mix in a 2nd tablespoon. So here goes the second one. And we'll mix this up again and see how it's all fizzing. Alright, so once you've got that all nice and mixed up, you're going to put in the corn syrup and the cornstarch next. So corn syrup, we only need to have a half a teaspoon. So that tiny little thing is half a teaspoon. Oh, I forgot to open this first. Okay, so 1 teaspoon of corn syrup. And corn syrup is kind of thick, so you might need to use your finger to get as much of this out of the spoon as you can. So I'm just going to use my finger here and get as much of it out of the spoon as possible. I'm just going to use this spoon that I'm mixing with to just sort of scrape it off my finger. And it's corn syrup, so it's tasty too. It's sweet. Okay. So let's go ahead and stir in the corn syrup. And then next we'll put in the cornstarch, and then we will put it into our ice tray or container that you're going to use. You can also use a muffin pan if mom and dad don't mind if you ruin a muffin pan. Or you can buy these cheap little ice trays from Fred Meyer. They work as well. And the next ingredient is going to be cornstarch. And you're going to need 2 tablespoons of the cornstarch. So here goes 1 tablespoon. Oh, wait a minute. I'm silly. I already mixed or measured my cornstarch. All right, so we're just gonna pour that in. And what you want to do is you want to keep stirring this until it all gets dissolved. Now, what makes this thing act funny is the cornstarch. That cornstarch is what makes this act like a solid and a fluid at the same time. And when I pour this, you'll see what I mean. So when you're stirring this and when you're mixing and pouring and all that, if it turns solid on you, give it a mix and it'll turn back into a liquid. It's really fun stuff. I think that ought to do it. Now, as you can see, it doesn't like to pour very well, but give it a bit of a mix as you're pouring. Okay, so what you'll do is with your ice tray, you'll put a little bit into each cup. By using food coloring. Now I'm going to open up my package. Okay, so when you're mixing your colors together, if you want to go like the rainbow, right, you can start with your yellow, and then you mix some yellow and red, and you'll get orange. Then you mix your orange together. And then next you can either just go ahead and put your green in there. If you don't have any green, you can always mix yellow and blue together, and that will get you the green. Then you'll put in some blue, and then you'll mix blue and red together, and it'll make purple. So I'm going to bring the ice tray closer so that you can see this. Okay, well, you can go ahead and experiment with these at home. So again, let them sit overnight. Once they get solid, you can go ahead and start using them. So I'm going to go, and I'll be back tomorrow, and we'll see how these turned out. Welcome back. Okay, so it's day 2, and as you can see, the paints that we made yesterday have dried. And I decided, since I had another tray, that I was going to make even some more pretty colors. So once they've dried, they're ready to use. Grab your paintbrush, get it a little damp, put it in one of the colors, get it loaded up, and then you can paint. Isn't that a pretty color? Let's try some more. Let's try this purple. It's not very dark. Maybe if we just load it up a little more. Well, it's a bit of a light color. Let's try one of these colors that we made yesterday. How about this really groovy red? And there we go. Load it on your brush. And then you just paint it on. Okay, well, I hope you guys have fun painting with these. Go ahead and make some with your parents. Always get their permission before you raid the pantry, as always. All right, see you next time.